happening? Did you find the files?
Matilda, we got problems. Derek's already left for the show.
No, he can't. We don't even know what the trigger is.
He just went running out of here. I couldn't stop him.
I'll call him on his phone.
He didn't have it.
What?
Yeah, he didn't have it.
What are you talking about? He always has it.
He gave it to me.
Did you find the files?
I don't even know what they look. What do they look like?
They're in the computer.
They're in the computer?
Yeah, they're definitely in there. I just don't know how he labeled them.
I got it.
You gotta figure it out. We're running out of time, Hansel. You gotta find them and meet me at the show.
Roger. In the computer. It's so simple.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another week of Muskies on Tap. I am your host, Gus Manti, and we are going to dive into an awesome interview that we just had with Ben Stone Fishing. We were finally able to get him on. We were trying to get him on throughout the last month or so, and we're really excited to share this with you guys, and we definitely hope you enjoy it. And tonight, joining me, we got Max Manti and Brian Eckel. How you guys doing?
I'm doing wonderful tonight, Gus. Appreciate you having me on as always. Glad to be here. Very excited to hear about Brian's weekend. Heard his golf game was top notch. It's the word on the street. Playing a little Ryder Cup style format with some buddies. You and I just came off of a fun weekend of fishing with our uncle who came over from Colorado. Put in some long hours this weekend. We're able to find a few bites that I'm sure we'll touch on. But yeah, gonna pass it over here to my best friend, Brian Eckel.
Happy to be here tonight, guys. I had a great weekend golfing with 7 other guys. Killed a lot of wildlife in like that 50-yard range in front of the tee box. Did not play my best golf, wasn't the prettiest, but hung around till the end, and my 4-man team ended up getting the dub. So it's a team sport. It's all that matters. Doesn't matter how I played, got it done in the end.
Yeah, golf, very well known as a team sport for sure.
Yeah, aka golf, team sport. But yeah, excited to dive in, hear about your guys' fishing weekend, and maybe chop it up a bit about our Muskie Bender Part 2 coming up this weekend in chilly and wet northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, that forecast is not looking nice. But what was going on this weekend with you? Was the hips not rotating, not keeping your eye on the ball? What was happening?
I don't know. I mean, everyone who I was playing with seemed to have the fix to my swing. Oh, you're swaying, you're throwing your hips, you're trying to kill the ball, you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I was in a mental dungeon that I couldn't escape. So it is what it is. On to next year for the golf thing, and we'll get them then.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, this weekend I was also not on my A game fishing. Had two very just catchable fish. Not make it to the net on my end, and that
Why
was
was that?
Sometimes your head's not in the game. Well,
Oh,
I'll say this.
really?
Yeah, wow, really?
I'd say so the first one, not that people care about me losing fish, but the first one was Saturday morning. We got out there pretty early, very chilly. I kind of had a hodgepodge of like clothing items that I had to throw on because I packed too quickly and forgot like base layers, pretty essential thing to bring when it's 37 degrees outside. So I was like the freaking Michelin man out there, dude. I could barely cast this rod and reel in, like work the bait that I was
Certified
actually using.
Yoon.
Yeah, well, you know what it is. I was having a hard time kind of like moving about. I had my moon boots on. I had this big jacket. I was like stuffed in there like a summer sausage. It was not a good look. I'm actually glad I didn't catch this fish and have it be on film
Oh,
for
that'd be awesome.
anybody to see. It was a tough look. But anyways, fish hit like 3 pulls into my cast, and like I was just so kind of out to lunch / had all these clothes on. I like barely set the hook because I couldn't move, and fish, had hooks in it for 2-3 seconds and boiled on the surface, looked like a nice fish and got off. So I was pretty bummed about that. And then the second opportunity actually was our first follow of the day. Just had switched to the dying dog, which I haven't really thrown much of. And I was kind of just getting the inner workings of how to like move this lure through the water, kind of figured out like what weight to use and all that stuff. But like on the second cast, and I finally got it working like I wanted, this smaller fish came like screaming in and went underneath the lure and just completely disappeared. We were in pretty clear water. And so, it didn't like stick with me with the 8. And as like I was kind of going into the 8, we were hanging suckers too. One of the sucker rods starts going. So I just figured that the fish came in hot, made a U-turn, and then just smashed one of the suckers like we've seen a million times. And so I look back to try to see what's going on with the sucker rod. And at that point, Gus like kind of pulls the line. He's like, yeah, there's nothing there. And as he's saying that, and I'm looking back, my baits, like I'm still doing 8s, like not looking. I look back and the fish just comes up and T-bones the dying dog. Now I had one hand on the rod. I wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh shit. I tried to set it and fish just goes off the other way. I'm like,
That
God,
is brutal.
So a little Ben session
thought
there.
you were captain of the iCrosser hook set team. What happened
Oh,
to that?
I mean, I feel real bad for the next muskie that hits my lure because that thing is coming. Thing's coming damn near out of the water. I'm gonna cross its eyes so good. You best believe that.
Yeah.
Didn't you say that last time? I don't know. Should
I
we check
say a
on
lot
that?
of things, Gus. I say a lot of things. All right. So.
That's all right. We
Why
got the
don't-
Muskie Bender weekend coming. You can redeem yourself. You got plenty of time in the amazing
Yeah.
windy, cold rain weather that we're gonna get to cast
Yeah, Gus.
so
Gus,
much.
can you give us a rundown on the forecast if you got it in front of you?
So we're
Weatherman.
looking at it has been windy every single day up till now. Today's Monday, the 9th. It finally dies down for 1, 2. Oh, wow. 2.5 days. And then it's going to be very, very windy all weekend.
Oh,
and very
yeah.
rainy and cold.
That's my favorite.
Friday, the feels like high
My favorite weather right there.
41. That's my favorite. Each day gets to 41 for the feels like, highs of 47, 47, 46 for Eagle River.
Oh,
And
come
we're getting
on,
a little
man.
over a half an inch of rain. It's gonna be
on.
gnarly, but
Oh.
fish should be chewing. They
Well,
better be.
we'll talk
'cause-
about
yeah.
let's talk about that later. Let's listen to somebody who's been catching some monster fish this year here. We
I
got a good
agree.
interview teed up.
Let's get into the interview of Ben Stone Fishing. Hope you guys enjoy.
We are very excited to chat with this gentleman here, Ben Stone, YouTube mogul, titan in the fishing content industry. Ben, thanks for hopping on with us tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No, we appreciate it. We're glad to make it work. I know we were trying to get you on a few different times and we couldn't get our schedules to totally link up. So I'm glad to get you on. We've been all big fan of your content and everything like that. Enjoy watching your videos and Instagram stuff. It's all sweet. So we're excited to kind of get into how the cake is baked, if you will. But I know Gus we were chatting before you hopped on here, and we were curious because we've kind of witnessed a finished product now, but we were just interested, like how did you get into muskie fishing, like just as a whole? I mean, you're a younger guy, kind of like Gus and Brian, not so much as myself anymore, but when did the, I guess, passion, addiction, whatever you want to call it, kind of start for you?
It started pretty early on for me. It was kind of a strange thing. If I had to pin it to one thing, I'd probably say books. I grew up reading a lot of fishing books because I love fishing, and I started reading about muskies, and I was just fascinated by them. So as I got older, and I mean, my family fished, but nobody muskie fished, so I didn't really have the opportunity to actually start going after them when I got a little bit older, but I always wanted to catch one. I was finally able to catch my first one on a lake trout spoon. And then from
Oh,
then on, I just was super pumped about it. Invested in a bunch of my own gear, and it was a challenge when I started because, again, I was the only person in my family that muskie fished. So the time that I got to fish was very limited. And when I got to fish, it wasn't, a full day on the water. It was like, here's 15 minutes to go and cast. But over the years, I was lucky enough to catch one or two here and there. But I just wanted to keep learning. Like, my fascination was learning. So I would say I really got into it in 2012. I did a guide trip with Jason Hamernick on Mille Lacs, and I learned a lot on that day. And just going out with him and seeing the way he did things just kind of solidified my passion for muskie fishing. And since then, that's pretty much what I spend the majority of my time doing.
Did
nice.
you happen to catch one on Mille Lacs? Is that what also got you hooked, or?
I did not catch one on Mille Lacs. I had a lot of opportunities on the second half of the day, and I caught my personal best pike, which I wasn't even excited about. I just wanted to try to catch one. But
That happens.
by the time the evening came around, I probably had 3 or 4 chances on top water that, I mean, I was new, so I didn't really know
Yeah.
what I was doing, but it was like, I just remember in the evening, we fished shallow sand in like 3 foot waves with top waters, and it just blew my mind.
Yeah, that blows our minds. Like we
Yeah.
don't really have that kind of fishing in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so funny like how many people talk about when they're talking about their first muskie like fishing experience, how many people talk about catching them on spoons. I feel like that's like the most common. It's like it's what got us hooked on it. I think we've had guests in the past. I think even Alex McLean. Was it him that said that he caught his first muskie on a spoon? I don't know. I just
Sounds right, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of funny to think about that. And then, you look at any musky fisherman sackle box now and like, nobody's throwing spoons.
Got to bring them out again. I mean, I haven't gotten one on a spoon yet this year, but did move a nice fish on one trip that got like really, really tough. But with musky fishing becoming like your new passion then, Ben, it looks like, was the filming pretty early on, or was that kind of like a side thing that you did not for like fishing, and then all of a sudden like your filming got into musky fishing, or like how did that blend together when you started filming?
Yeah, for me, for filming came pretty early on too. Filming came earlier than when I caught my first muskie, actually. I was just, again, like, when I was a kid, especially, I was just all things fishing. So I was watching fishing TV shows. I always wanted to go fishing. So I just grew up loving fishing TV shows. So I think it was 6th grade, I got my first ever iPod Touch that had a camera on it.
Nice.
And I just started hitting record every time, like, I would get a bite fishing at the river, my bobber went down. And the more I did that, I filled up the storage on my iPod. I needed somewhere to put it all, so I made a YouTube account, and I just started throwing up these just random clips of me catching fish, just like for somewhere to put them. And eventually, further down the line, I fell in love with editing, and so I started editing at Windows Movie Maker, and then I always wanted to get better at it, so I just started pursuing different avenues. But it took a while. It was a bit of a slow burn for me. I probably did that for, I don't know, till I was in 7th grade before I really started to like look at different cameras and really start to learn about like totally advancing forward. Because beforehand it was just kind of for me just to like go back and be like, oh, like, I caught this fish and I could look at it. But as I started to get older, then I was like, okay, well, I want to like do something with this. And my ambition growing up was always just to do something in videography and video editing. So by filming fishing, for me, it wasn't like, oh, I want to do this and I want to make this my job. It was just kind of like practice, just to learn the tools. But eventually just kind of worked out where those two things kind of started to blend together, which was really, really awesome for me.
Did you with the filming, was that something, because you're saying you just did that here and there in fishing, was that something that you pursued in school or wanted to, like later, like post, I guess, high school, like a something you had in mind?
Yeah, that was at the forefront of what I wanted to do. And with that, I talked to a lot of people and I tried to get as much information as I could. And most of the people I talked to said that you're pretty much better off just learning that stuff on your own. So that's kind of what I did. But when I finished high school, I didn't have a full-time job lined up or anything like that. So I did a 2-year marketing degree, which I felt kind of covered everything that I wanted to use, the videography and video editing things for. So that's what I ended up doing. And I just feel very fortunate because the way things worked out, it was pretty much right after I got done with that 2-year degree that, I had my first opportunity with videography and fishing just pop right in. So it worked out really, really convenient for me. And I feel very lucky for that.
Yeah. So when would you say like you turn a corner with like the filming and the fishing from when it kind of went, like you were saying, you kind of answered it, but like when it went from just you kind of uploading videos on YouTube because you're saying like, I just needed somewhere to put it, to like, all right, I'm, kind of making a channel, maybe starting to get some traction. Like when did that kind of start to turn the corner into like, okay, what it is now with like Ben Stone Fishing on YouTube? Is there like a specific time that you could pinpoint that happened, or was it just kind of a slow, gradual process to what we have today?
I would say for me, there was two specific things that happened. The first thing that happened was in 10th grade, we had a project that we had to do over the summer. It was like kind of like a passion project type thing. So for that, I did fishing videos, and that's when I filmed my first ever video where I caught a muskie. And again, that was just kind of like something to do for me and for school. But when I did that, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a few people started reaching out to me in the muskie world. And as a kid who really didn't know anything about it, that kind of started to open up doors. So I started to put a little bit more effort into it. And I was like, well, if these people are going to reach out to me, like it kind of motivated me. But I would say the real turning point was doing the first muskie battle in 2020 that I did. Because after I did that with all those guys and just being around that atmosphere, it really like I was like, oh, like I should really like keep at this. Like it just I fell in love with the atmosphere there and just the different people and just I would say that's really where it got a hold of me where I was like, I want to keep working at this. And I started to kind of hold myself to a higher standard as far as the stuff that I was making because I really wanted to just keep getting better. And, there's always that small chance that it can go somewhere. So I just wanted to follow that as much as I could.
Cool. So, like for the muskie battle, like so in 2020, did they ask you to come and just get like a ton of B-roll and were you jumping between boats or just filming yourself, or how did that work your first year there?
It was just I just got invited just to go and film myself because Jeff, the guy who started a muskie battle, he was good friends with Alex McLean, who Alex was one of the first real people that I kind of got introduced to in the muskie world, and one of the main people that I learned a lot of the stuff that I've learned from him. So I went up there the first year, and I was just excited to be there and just film my own thing. It was on Leech Lake, and I'd really never fished leech before, and I was still like pretty. I would consider myself pretty ripe to muskie fishing. So I just kind of went in, wanting to get the most experience, talk to everybody I could, but as luck would have it, I guess I ended up catching a couple of fish and actually won the thing with one fish. So that's
Sweet.
I look back on that muskie battle very, very fondly. Like it was I feel if it weren't for that, a lot of the opportunities that I got afterwards probably wouldn't have happened. So that's a big thing for me. I look back on that and very grateful for that experience.
That's awesome. Have you been doing those year in and year out now since 2020?
Yep, I did the one. Yeah, so I've been back every year. I was bummed because it was just a couple of weekends ago and I was super excited for it, but I got up there and after my first day of pre-fishing, I got really, really sick, so I was unable to be up there for
Man.
the battle, but it's still nice to have that opportunity and there's so many people that are there and it's turned into something a lot better than what it used to be in my opinion. It's more about just getting guys together that share the same passion, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, nothing better than that. Yeah, we heard it's a good time on and off the water after everyone gets done, and get to rendezvous with a few drinks. Cool. Well, all right. So let's get into like the filming aspect. I'm really curious. I mean, Gus, I don't know, you can kind of fill in here, but like we've dabbled. Like Gus always runs cameras. He's I would say you're starting to kind of get the hang of editing. But like
that's
ish,
rough.
maybe. Yeah.
Editing is rough. I don't even have that great of
Editing
software
Instagram
to edit.
clips.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
like
the extent.
we're running cameras. I mean, Gus has probably more content and fish catches that I don't know will ever see the light of day, just kind of stuffed onto his laptop right now. But like I guess my curiosity is like, what goes into a shoot for you? Like that like you're gonna go out and you're gonna film and you're gonna fish. Is it like you're making an episode? Is it a weekend? Does it take multiple weeks to get what you want? Like, yeah, just kind of lay that out for us, because I'm really curious on how all that goes. Because like I said, I've watched most of your videos. I don't know about all of them, but like definitely a good chunk of them. And like the amount of B-roll, the drone shots, like the just clips here and
Underwater.
there. It's like underwater stuff, like all this shit. I'm like, oh my God, like this looks very labor intensive on top of also trying to catch a muskie, which is not easy.
Yeah, so for the way I do it most of the time is I don't really I don't like going to like a fishing trip with a set checklist of things that I have to do. At most, if I get a video or like an idea for a video title or something, I'll try to fish around that idea. But most of the time, I go out and I fish, and if I start catching fish or I get enough action, then it's like, okay, well, this is probably going to end up, working as a video. So then I kind of think about the other things that I want for whatever I'm filming. So, like the last video I uploaded, which was last Saturday, which was the one day that I got to fish before the muskie battle. I really wanted to make a video centered around the wood tick. So that whole day I fished, I only threw the wood tick. So like when I caught the fish, I had to follow right away, and then I caught the fish, and I was like, okay, well, I know I'm going to make a video on this. So then I just kind of thought about all the different shots that I wanted to get. So like I wanted to make sure that I get underwater shots of the bait because I know I was going to talk about it. And I always try to do something slightly different instead of repeating the same shot, especially with underwater stuff. So like I try to think of more unique ways to get a shot. So like with the wood tick, I wanted like a close up of the tickers clicking on the bait along with one, like a wider shot. And then as far as like all the other B-roll, I say the most like specific, like, like things that I grab the same day I make a video is probably the underwater stuff and just everything that I talk on camera. And then B-roll is nice because you can film B-roll like anytime. So if I have a day where the fishing's kind of slow, I'm like, well, I'm not going to miss out on anything. So I'll film B-roll, and I pretty much just keep like kind of like a catalog of B-roll. Just with most of the stuff like that I think I might need. So like close-ups of reels, lures, all that kind of stuff. And most of the time I already will have what I need just from doing that. But there's times too where I got to go back out and get specific shots or, redo some stuff like that. But I feel like I've done it enough to where I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants, and it usually works out. But with my last job, it was really like thinking ahead of everything and preparing for everything. But I found out that I didn't enjoy that as much as just going out and experiencing fishing first and then building the video around that. Because in the past, I'd have to, go through a checklist of everything and then get to fish. And if it didn't work out, then all that effort was wasted. And I just like it made me really not enjoy it as much. So just kind of doing things spontaneously and then building a video around that is kind of like what I usually do most of the time.
So from like when you started with your first video years ago to now, I mean, how long would it take you to edit up a video a few years ago compared to now?
Back then it probably took me a lot longer because the way I used to edit, and this is how I learned editing, was I'd bring my stuff into like a timeline, and then like cutting and moving around footage is easy. But if there's ever like a specific like transition I wanted to do or like look I wanted to get, I would like pull up YouTube and I would look up a tutorial and then follow the tutorial. So I did that enough to where I started to memorize those things. So now I can usually like I have a pretty good rhythm where it usually takes me like 4 to 5 hours. If it's a video that I made in one day, probably 4 to 5 hours. Um,
Hmm.
but if there's a couple of random times where I'll have like 2 days that I combine into one video. That takes a little bit longer. But most of the time I can get something done in like 4 to 5 hours, I'd say, compared to spending multiple days on it when I just first started out because I had to sit there and pull up a tutorial for pretty much every step I did in editing.
So
Yeah.
you're pretty strategic now with like each shot you take, or are you just like shooting a ton of random B-roll and then you'll filter through it later once you're editing, or are you specifically picking out shots that you want and then you don't have a lot of garbage to filter through on the editing end?
Yeah, I would say I try to be strategic about it. Like I usually, there's a lot of stuff that I mean, there's certain shots I like. Like I literally like getting close up real shots or stuff like that. But I've done that a lot, so I'm getting to the point now where it's like, okay, like I've done this a million times. Like I should try to do something a little bit different. So I would say it all kind of depends on the day and how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling like I just want to get something done and something out, I'll usually play it safe. But occasionally I get a little bit more creative and I want to try to make something a little bit different. So I try to get stuff that I don't feel I see on YouTube as much. But it just kind of depends. I'm pretty random with how I decide to do things sometimes.
I I think Brian's asking that because we jokingly call him B-roll God because he is consistently just shooting the most random stuff at all times, and like we'll just end up having like 79 random clips of like a tree and a loon floating through the water. He's like, oh, this is gonna be this. Is
Well,
good, right?
we've
That's good
like
right here.
we've murmured of like making a few YouTube videos for like the
Oh,
last
okay.
3 years. And so like we've all
Easy
just taken
now.
the B-roll
Yeah.
and now we just have like an hour of footage of B-roll on our phones that probably just
Well,
sit there for a
I
while.
I like what you're talking about. Like, I like a lot because I think it's actually good advice for us. For you're like, you kind of get, you do the fishing first, and then you kind of build the video around it. Because like Brian and Gus, like the one time this summer where we really went into a weekend, like, oh man, we're gonna like make a sick YouTube video, was opener this year, and we shot like an infinite amount of B-roll, like a bunch of updates, whatever. And then we ended up catching like 138-inch muskie. We were just like,
Every update was like, still haven't seen anything.
yeah, like, oh, the fishing really sucks, and we're all down bad. We don't know what lake to go to because not a single fish in Vilas
Yeah.
County is eating right now. And we ended up scrapping probably like 2 hours worth of footage because we were like, well, that's not gonna end up being a good video,
Yeah.
and there's no. So yeah, we're we're kind of learning from you as we go here, because we've always talked about like we do these weekends together and we'll fish with like 3 4 guys, and we'll have a lot of fun. It's like, man, this would be really fun to like actually make a cohesive video, but we've dropped the ball every single time. So like seeing how succinct and like put together yours are, it's just like, man, I all the respect in the world, because I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's funny because there's a lot of days that I go through something just like that where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a great video today, and I'm like, well, I haven't caught one yet, but I've got enough, and I've scrapped a lot of stuff. So I also have a lot of stuff where I've put in the work and then I don't actually follow through with making something out of it. But that's how it goes, and I kind of get picky with what I like. I uploaded a video 2 weeks ago where I didn't catch a fish, and I was like, I don't know if people are gonna like that, but I just wanted to get a video out because I missed like 3 weeks or like a month of uploading because I was sick and busy with the devoted stuff. So
Gotcha. So what
Yeah.
you said, the devoted stuff, what are you doing with them?
so I edit and film all their stuff for their TV show. So
Oh, cool.
that's what I do full time right now. So that has been a very very time consuming thing, but in a good way because it's a lot of fun. Like you go out and on a 3 or 4 day shoot and film everything. And it's actually really nice for me. I really like it because a lot of the times when I'm out there, like I fish solo probably 95% of the time, and I film solo 95% of the time. And I always I'm like, oh man, I want to get this shot and I want to do this, but I'm by myself, so it's really limiting. So when I'm with them, it's nice because I get to actually, get the content and get the shots that I've always wanted to get for myself, but I can't be my own cameraman. So um,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. But I'm in mostly just in the editing process, so I've been pretty tied up editing for the last month and a half probably. So I haven't got to fish as much and make content as much as I want, but I also can't complain because I just enjoy the whole video editing and filming stuff anyway.
So with this being your first year with Devoted, that means like your first edited videos won't come out until this winter. Is that correct?
So it's going to be mixed. So they did, I think, 9 shows with Rawfish Creative Group, and that was last year. Then they brought me on, and I've filmed, I think, 5 shows. So my first actual show that I shot and edited will be airing this Sunday, actually, on Bally Sports.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Everybody
Nice.
check that
yeah.
out.
Well, for
Yeah.
people that don't know can you elaborate on what it is, just for if anyone's not totally up to speed on that?
Yeah, so I filmed for Devoted Outdoors. It's John and Ashley Holmgren. It's pretty much just a family show. They're very invested into and fishing in the outdoors. Is mostly their first season's focused on fishing, but they really wanted to build a very story-based show around just the lifestyle of having 2 young kids, but also not wanting to give up enjoying the outdoors. So it's a show that I really like, and I really respect and admire kind of the image that it gives off because you know with the first 2 shows they've aired, they've had a lot of people reach out and say how awesome it is that they always involve their kids with what they're doing. So um, some of their stuff is on YouTube right now. So if you want to check it out, just type in Devoted Outdoors on YouTube. But it's a pretty cool show. It's not the normal kind of fishing and outdoor show you'd see on TV. It's very story driven and very family driven, which I think is really cool.
Nice. Excited to see that. Well, that's yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of fun, especially probably doing some of those kind of, I guess I don't know where you've gone. I got to watch the show to find out, but it sounds like you've probably taken some pretty cool destinational type trips. And I don't know if you can say where, because, probably save it for the people to tune in, but that sounds like a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, it was I've been lucky enough to have things work out job wise very smoothly so far in my life. Like as soon as I finished college, I got a full-time job for Canal Gratis doing fishing and YouTube videos, and that gave me a bunch of experience. And then literally the day that I was like, I'm gonna look for something else, John called me, and so I jumped on board with them. And I've gotten to, yeah, like you said, I've gone on some pretty cool trips already. I've been up to Canada a bunch. I went to Lake Winnipeg. We did a fly-in trip, so I've got to experience a lot of cool things, and I feel very fortunate to have experienced those things.
I'm just curious for for your first one coming out this Sunday, what's the length on all of like the ones you're editing? Because some of their videos are some shorts, some of them are 30 minutes. Are yours longer?
Yeah, so the total runtime for the show I think is 28 minutes and 30 seconds, but
Okay.
that's with commercials. So the total amount of footage that I've done I think it was originally supposed to be 19 minutes 45 seconds, but we had to bump it up to I want to say 22 minutes, I think is what it is. So
Nice.
it's a full length half-hour TV show with all the
Mhm.
commercials and stuff. And then through that, I also did a couple of the commercials that are on there too, so that's pretty cool too.
That's
Hmm.
awesome.
Wow. With those longer videos, I'm looking at your page right now. Have you ever thought about doing longer videos? Because I know when I've watched your videos, I know they're just kind of like they're usually mashed into a one day, kind of like you're talking about, but also like I don't know if you do like a full weekend or something like that, or if you have in the future of doing, I don't know, I guess longer videos. I don't know about YouTube too much. I know that there's like a cap at certain minutes I think, for ads or something like that. Am I right or wrong there? I know that there's some weird things that they've changed and done through the years.
I'm not 100% sure on how the ads things work. Because I know like 10 minutes, at least a few years ago, was like the mark to like hit. Um, but it's weird because I try to aim for longer videos, and a lot of the times I'm like, oh, I've this will be such a good like long video, and then I edit it and it's under 10 minutes, and I'm
Hmm.
like I feel guilty for that. But I think the way it works out for me is like I try to keep my videos like straight to the point. So they I tend to like kind of cram them. Um, but with again with what you're saying about like doing like a weekend trip, like I wanted to do that. I just haven't had the opportunity this year where it worked out to go on a weekend trip
Mhm.
and make something longer. I was going to be my goal for the Muskie Battle was to do just like a really big video for the entire experience, but getting sick kind of got in the way of that, which I was pretty bummed about because I was like, oh man, like I'm gonna have so much content and nothing. So
Next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, next
yeah,
year for sure.
yeah, that's what I'm telling
Oh yeah.
myself.
I feel like I'm in the minority. I really like the long fishing videos. I mean, obviously the short ones are great. Like you can watch like a lot of them consecutively. So I'm sure from like a producer standpoint of it, like it's good for views and stuff to churn out a lot of shorter videos. But I'm like a big fan. Like if I'm just rifling through fishing videos and there's like a 35, 45 minute video, like I think that stuff's so cool because it's just like you could see comprehensively like everything that goes into a big weekend, like
Yeah,
just all that stuff. It's fun to just like chill on the couch, drink a beer, and just like watch those longer shows. Like, I mean, we, grew up like watching Keys Outdoors and stuff like that. And it's just kind of cool, like seeing, all like the camp setup or, wherever. And Gus and I have like talked about wanting to do that for the PMTT stuff because there's like so much stuff that goes in behind the scenes of just fishing, that I think people probably like really like because I mean, musky fishing, like you do, I mean, on average, how many hours of work do you do before you actually just get like the 17 seconds of like fun, you know?
yeah,
And I think like diehard musky anglers like seeing that stuff because it's like, man, it just doesn't, you don't just go out on the lake and catch a fish and call it a day. Like it's hours upon hours of gear setup and all that shit. And like that, those videos are cool to me. I don't know. So it's good to hear that you're thinking about maybe doing some longer ones in the future because I would definitely tune in.
yeah. That's again, that's one like that's what I wanted to kind of veer towards. But I think this year, just it's a new experience, the whole devoted thing. So my free time when I do get to film, it's pretty like crammed, I guess. Which I probably get more free time than the average person. So I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining, but that's just kind of how I've built the videos, just kind of getting back into it. But when I am filming or thinking about what I want to film, like that's always how I'm envisioning things is kind of including everything because again, like you're saying, like as musky anglers, I think we all catching the fish is great, but like enjoying the entire experience as a whole is kind of like what we're all here for. So that is something that I do want to work on, putting into my content moving forward.
So as there,
Because
oh, go ahead, Gus.
I was just gonna say with that, if you do, because I really like your videos and how they're made, and I'm with Max. I really like the long videos, but yours for short videos, you talk about like everything that needs to be said. I know that you do say in your videos like I've been at it for hours or something like that, or like nothing's been going on. I'm going back to this spot or I'm going back on this fish. If you like add your cinematography, the fish that you catch, because you catch big ass fish, and then like a long movie almost, you'll be like a dominant force in the YouTube fishing community, I feel like, or you should be. I don't know. I know it's
Already is, son. Already is.
he
I think didn't you
is.
get like a video, like a short video that got like millions of views this year?
Oh, that was on like
I
Instagram
remember.
or TikTok or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple on Instagram that have. I think my most on Instagram is 3 million, but that video
Jeez.
on I put it on YouTube as a
Nice.
short, and it got like 5,000 views, and then it died for like 2 months. and then out of nowhere it just blew up. And I think the last time I checked it, I think it was at 3.6 million views.
Man, it's
So
kind of it's like Gus was. That's probably pretty comparable to our listeners amount per episode.
Yeah.
Probably
about
like
3.5 million.
3.7 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right around there.
Dude, that's like
Started slow at 1 million, but we've been growing.
it's like reaching an entire freaking large metro city of people watching your
Yeah.
fishing videos. That's
yeah,
nuts.
on YouTube you can look at the analytics, and for some reason it must have just gotten pushed like really hard in Russia, because like the top country on the demographics is Russia, and then it's the United States, and then it's Ukraine.
People are like, "What is this fish?"
There's a lot of comments on there that are in Russian that I don't know what they mean.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I'd be real curious to translate some of those comments. Like,
Yeah.
they're like talking mad shit on your.
Probably there's a lot of comments on there telling me to do an 8 instead of a circle. Sometimes give me a laugh.
Okay, so yeah, okay. You just brought up something that I'm also very curious about. So like, you're putting yourself out there. You're getting TikToks and Instagrams that are, like you're saying, 3+ million views. Like your YouTubes get on average like a lot of views as well. Has that been something you've kind of just become like a little bit numb to with people? Has it been mostly positive reactions to your videos, or are there still like shithead people telling you to do this or X, Y, or Z? What's been kind of like the feedback or whatever? I'm assuming it's been mostly positive, but has there still been just dumb stuff that you get from kind of getting yourself out there?
On a lot of the figure 8 stuff, it doesn't matter what the video is. There's always somebody that says you need to do a wide turn or this, that, and the other thing.
Everyone's a pro. Everyone's a pro.
Yeah,
from the
so
couch.
I get at this point, like I'm pretty used to it. There's every once in a while I read a comment that it's just like I want to respond to, but I'm just like I should just leave it. But like when it comes to YouTube, most of the time I just like give them the little heart thing, just because I don't really care at the end of the day. But I just think it's on Instagram especially. I post a lot of my figure 8 clips on there, and I get so many people like tell me to do a wider turn, or like I had a lazy fish come in and they're like, "Oh, well, if you did this, it would have ate." It's like I don't think so, but okay.
No.
Well, if you need our resident one of our resident muskie trolls, we got a few in our Muskies on Tap army.
You can send the army out to your comment section.
Send the army to your comment section and just have them roast. You can just tell us what you want us to say, and then we'll work through our agents in the field and have them just kind of rip apart people in your comment section.
I might have to take you up on that. Go to any of them. There's at least one comment on there telling me that I did something wrong.
Oh man, it's like me when I watch the Packers and I'm like, should have caught that.
Yeah, I just don't understand like the people who feel the need to write up a comment like telling you how to fish or what you did wrong. It's like you're not the one in the video. You might have caught a fish doing an 8 or not doing an 8. Like, I mean, it's different. They're fish. They're stupid. They do their weird things. I mean, nobody's a pro.
Yeah, I always like try to like poke fun at myself, or like in my cash I'll be like, yeah, I totally botched this one, and I just think it's funny how people still comment, and it's like, did you like
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm like perfect, like I effed up. I just thought it was a cool video.
Oh,
you tried to say their comment before them, and they still comment.
Yeah, it's like they, because that guy's never ever. He's caught every single fish that's come to the boat.
Yeah,
sure.
Never botched.
Well, so outside of the videos that have gone, uber viral on your page, has there been any highlights from this year? Like, like people always like hearing about big fish, and obviously you're fishing in Minnesota. You've come across some this year. What's been like some of the highlight catches for you that you've gotten on film, and what's that rush like? Because I mean, we now that we've kind of dabbled in the tournament game, like we've talked about the difference of like catching a big fish in a tournament compared to just out for fun. I would imagine you probably get a pretty similar-ish rush, like knowing like, hey, I just captured this crazy catch like on film. And what's that like?
Yeah, so before I came back to uploading on my channel and I worked for Canal Gratis, they always had me wearing a chest mount, which I hated. And I told them like I wanted to wear the the GoPro on my head, and I was like I wanted to buy a nice polarizer, and they were like, "Oh, just wear the chest mount. It's like the most popular thing." So when I like had the freedom to make the videos I wanted to, like I went out and I bought a really nice GoPro, and I bought a really nice polarizing lens for it. And I was like, I don't care how bad it sucks and how bad it hurts my head. Like I'm gonna wear it on my head because I know if I get a cool figure eight, it's gonna be sick.
Right.
So that was probably the big one for me. I started my season off really good with John and Ashley on Mille Lacs. I caught two fish opening night, and I caught my personal best, a 53. But those were in the night, and they were off camera. But the last day that we fished, I caught the first figure eight fish that like got him, I think, 2 million views. And when that fish came into the eight and I set the hook on it, like I literally internally told myself, I'm like, that is the sickest video I've ever got in my life. So I normally I normally can like I keep myself pretty like tame when I got a fish on, and I stay pretty calm. But like when I told myself that, like I got that like, oh my God, like I was like freaking out. And the video is really funny. Like I love to laugh at myself in that video because I'm like, I can't push the button, I can't free spool it. And then John's like, well, where's the drag at? And I was just like freaking out because I didn't want to lose it because I knew like the clip that I had.
Yeah.
So like that was exciting to get that fish in the net. So that was like the first, like I was like, holy, like I was shaking, and I was like I kept rewatching it on my phone after the fact, and I was content with that. So I was like, you know what, you guys fish. Like I'll stay on the camera if anything happens. Um,
That's awesome.
and then I'd say the other one was the clip that's got the most views out of anything I've ever made, which is I had one around home where I'm sure you guys have seen it. It comes in, I go into the figure eight, and it like sticks its head out of the water.
Yeah.
It goes back down, and then I was doing circles, and it kept trying to eat it, and I was like, "What the heck is this thing doing?" And then I finally got it. That was a cool one for me because I was like, I didn't adjust my polarizer that day to make sure I cut the glare. So I was like, I don't even think like I got you're not gonna be able to see the fish, but you can. And like that's probably my favorite figure eight clip that I've gotten because it was just so weird. And there's so many people like, oh, you're moving it too fast. And I'm like,
dude,
like, it's so funny. Like it's there's so many like, especially between TikTok and YouTube, dude, the comments that are on that video hurt to read. Like they genuinely hurt to read, but it's I don't take it personally. I just laugh at it, most of them.
We'll get a
funny.
contractor in there and just have a big F off on each of those comments.
Yeah, we know some guys. Gus, didn't you have something like that happen to you this year with a fish sticking its head out of the water and then eating?
Eating? When would that be? I saw that first.
I could have sworn you were like texting me or something like, dude, you know that Ben Stone video where the muskie pokes his head out and then follows into the turn? Like that happened to me today.
Oh, I did, but it didn't eat or follow into the turn. I did a figure eight.
Welcome to Wisconsin.
I did a full figure eight, and I went to a bomb cast, and my lure hit the water, and I look right in front of me, and there's a muskie that did the same thing it did in your video, Ben. It poked its head out facing me, went down. There's no lure there for it to go after, and then it freaked out and left. And I'm like, what?
Just saying what's up.
Like, what? I was so confused. And yes, I said right away, I'm like, that's exactly what happened in the Ben Stone video, except it didn't eat. And it was maybe like a 38 incher.
A Wisconsin giant.
So have you fished in Wisconsin ever? I know we get a good amount of listeners actually from Minnesota. So we always are really appreciative when guys from Minnesota come on. I mean, I live in Minneapolis, but like I've said multiple times, I don't get out and fish much in Minnesota as much as I'd want to. I don't have a boat here, so I'm always in northern Wisconsin. But have you ever traveled east before and tried your hand at any of those lakes?
Not a ton. I still haven't caught a Wisconsin muskie yet, but I have.
We're gonna have to change that. We're gonna have to change that.
Yeah, that's a bad one. I caught an Iowa muskie before I caught a Wisconsin muskie. That was kind of a wake up call.
Gosh.
But I fished the St. Croix every once in a while. I'll fish the St. Croix, which I guess is sort of Wisconsin.
Depends what side you're on.
Yeah, and then there's two lakes that are like probably 45 minutes northwest of me that I've ventured over to fish a couple of times on northern Wisconsin opener, but from what I understand, they're pretty tough lakes to fish, and I haven't gotten the chance to go back over there, so I really just haven't fished Wisconsin much at all.
Oh, we kind of joke around. There's a lot of great fishing in northern Wisconsin. I mean, it's a really good spot. So if you ever get the chance, it'd be awesome if you and Gus could get out on the boat together and collab or something
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
sweet.
I'd be
that'd
totally
pretty
down
cool.
for that.
Where else have you I mean, other than Minnesota and Iowa, I don't know if this will spoil something coming up in the show or one of your videos coming up, but where else have you been catching muskie? Have you been into Canada or anywhere crazy?
I haven't. I guess I technically have musky fish Canada, but I was in Canada on Lac Seul for devoted, but I didn't get to fish, which
Mm,
that was probably the hardest shoot I've ever had where I couldn't fish and I had to film
I
because
bet.
Lac Seul was an incredible lake and
Yeah.
they saw a few fish up there and it just was like, oh, dude, I wanted to fish so bad. Um, but between Minnesota and Iowa, the only other place that I fished would be St. Clair. I went to St. Clair in 2021
Okay.
and fished over with Mark Kornowski and Mike Ducci with Brian Scaife from England Anarchy. So
Nice.
that's between Michigan and I caught one in the Canadian side of St. Clair. So that Minnesota and or Iowa are the three main places that I've caught muskies.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have to try to figure out a way for you to check the box on Wisconsin then.
Yeah,
That would
Mhm.
be
it's been on my list for a few years, and I don't I wanted to do it this year, and I just got super sidelined with work and all that stuff. But I'm
so
always down to
are,
venture over there.
are you out of do you live around the cities then in Minnesota? Are you more north?
I'm in the cities.
Okay.
I'm like just outside the cities. I'm in Forest Lake, so I'm
Sure.
not
Okay.
not. I mean, going to Wisconsin isn't like a haul for me. It's pretty nearby, but
Yeah.
I also live in Forest Lake, and Forest Lake's got muskies in it, so it's that's probably what hinders me from going other places so much. Is Forest is always right there, but
So I was gonna
that can
ask,
be
like, when you do these day trips and whatever, are you typically sticking around the metro area, or do you take a day and you go up to Mille Lacs or Leech, or I mean, you just kind of make your rounds?
I've got a few lakes that don't get hit that hard up north that I like
Okay.
going to, just because they're the one lake. I always feel like I've got a good chance of catching a fish. So between that and Forest are kind of the main two that I spend my time on. But Forest is a metro lake; it gets hit really hard, and I mean, everybody knows Forest Lake and White Bear Lake and all those lakes. So it's always
Hmm.
nice to go other places. But I think one of my probably my biggest flaw in muskie fishing is I always want to go to different lakes, but when I plan on going to that different lake, when that day comes around, I'm like, oh, do I really want to like go risk a day and maybe not catch anything, and where I can go to a lake and probably catch one? Like that's probably my biggest flaw because like every once in a while, like yeah, it works out and I go to that lake and I'll get a video or catch a fish, but it also prevents me from experiencing other lakes and stuff like that. So a little late in the year to kind of change that, but my goal next season is to try to just break the chains on the lakes that I always fish and start branching out and fishing different bodies of water.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we love to do. I mean, obviously, where we typically fish is much different than Minnesota. Well, not I wouldn't say much different, but it's kind of more known for lake hopping and some of that stuff. I mean, in northern Wisconsin, we have so many different lakes that are kind of just like stuffed in such a small area. I mean, Gus, like how many lakes do you think you've fished this
Uh,
summer? I mean,
this
if you had to
summer,
guess. Yeah.
um,
Do you have a
probably.
tracker on number of lakes you've caught a fish?
Yeah, I could look up that real quick. I know that this summer is probably, oh, it's got to be 20 plus different lakes, maybe 25 for sure. Fish this year. Oh man, the tracker right now is at 41 different
Different
lakes
lakes?
that we've
Yeah.
caught fish up
Jeez.
here in 2 years. and that does include Vermilion and Cave Run and Madison Chain from the PMTT, but the rest are, yeah, Northern Wisconsin. This is a list that can never be leaked. So,
There's a price for everything.
yeah.
All right. So getting back to you and your YouTube channel, I mean, where, and I guess, you don't have to let us know, but I mean, do you have a vision in mind on where you want to take this thing? I mean, like with the content you're producing, I could definitely see Valley Sports with a Ben Stone fishing deal, or, KOTV or something of that nature. I mean, is that the ultimate goal, or is it just more to just grow the YouTube channel and keep that thing humming along?
I think for me is I just enjoy making fishing videos. So, knowing the chances there for, to get a following where I can make money or do it full time is cool. But I don't think it's necessarily something that I'm uh, oh, I'm gunning for this specifically. I think that if I got to that point, I would still want to have a job, filming or editing, and like I really enjoy what I do for John and Ashley. So I just I like being able to do a couple of different things. I don't like limiting myself, and that was the biggest thing that I realized with the first um, Canal Gratis job I had was pretty much doing that. And I just found after the first year in, I really loved it, but after that, it just kind of took the toll on the general experience of fishing for me. And I think, fishing for me is priceless. So I don't ever want to like ruin that passion for myself. So it would be great to get it to that point, but I don't ever want to plan on that for myself, just because like fishing and enjoying fishing and having fun with it is way more important than getting to a point where I make money off it for me. So I think my goal is just to continue, making the content that I want to make and having fun with it. And if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If not, it not.
Awesome.
Okay, Ben. So switching gears here, I have a few questions about your kind of GoPro and video setup in your boat. I know that all we run is GoPros, and we have very similar boats. I think I found out you have the Lumacraft 175 or 185, which
175.
okay, so pretty much the same boat as mine. You have a sick setup where the mount where you're looking at yourself like off the gunnel or something is pretty high up, but it's not in like the back. It's kind of more towards the middle. What do you got there did you build that yourself, or like what do you have there to run those GoPros?
Yeah, so I took one of like the plastic Illumitrack mounts, and I took
Mhm.
one of the plastic Scotty like rod holder mounts, and I put that on the Illumitrack mount, and then I there's like the little notch to like lock in the rod holder. I
Yeah.
like carved that out of this, so it's just basically like a hole, and I just took a monopod, and I think there's actually a adjustable bar for an ice fishing house,
Hmm.
like half of that. It's very makeshift, but it's a monopod and that, and I just got it to cram into that track holder, and then I just put the GoPro mount on top of the monopod. So it's nice because I can lower it down quite a bit, but I can also extend it pretty high. And then I just have a big USB cable that I run up it. It's not very stable. It wobbles a lot. Like if I'm hitting waves, like
Okay.
I always take it down. So it's not anything super sturdy. It is pretty makeshift, but it works for what I needed to. And the only mishap I've had is earlier this year I hit the back of the GoPro casting and I shattered my screen on my GoPro.
Oh,
But
damn.
other than that,
Uh,
it has worked out just fine for me.
yeah, I haven't hit one casting yet, but I've just been running the YOLOTech mounts, and
Yep.
I know that I've watched some of Brian Scaife's videos on like how to film basically. I watched a lot of those videos when I was starting off, and he was talking about his just mount up with the GoPros and how he has it like locked into two places or something. So that's very stable. And I noticed that right away with the YOLOTech that it was really wobbly. And
Yeah.
luckily I have like a cleat in the back there and I literally just tie a rope around it and then just cinch it tight so that just doesn't move. But it's okay, except for that's why I was asking about that because I kind of want to maybe look into getting something or making something like you have where it's closer to the middle of the boat so it can not be so far away for the front guy. And also
Yeah.
I know Max, you and I both are kind of looking into doing head mounts. I've done the chest thing. They are a pain in the ass. I hate them. I have pretty much not wore the chest mount this year at all. I did last year a lot. But with the head mount, do you just have one of those things that's like taped onto the hat that GoPro comes with, or what do you have there?
So I have a tripod mount. So
Hmm.
I drilled a hole through the brim, and I just got I don't know if you can see it on there, but it's just
Yeah.
a screw and a nut, and that's I mean you can move it and twist it, but it's tight enough to where if you put the GoPro on, it doesn't move around or anything. The only thing that sucks about it is it's a lot of pressure on your head, so it can wear
Yeah.
on the ears and stuff a bit. But the system that I run works pretty good. I've seen people, like run a cable down the back of their head to like a battery pack, but I just have a bunch of extra GoPro batteries, and I have like the little dual battery charger. So
Hmm.
I just switch out batteries throughout the day, and then I've got them plugged into a little lithium battery thing with a USB port, basically a power bank. And usually by the time I go through two batteries in the camera, one of them is charged again. So I just kind of cycle through batteries throughout the entire day. It's pretty much how I run it.
Nice.
Nice.
That's pretty solid for sure. Because we were looking into getting head mounts, and I wasn't sure what you had. I always wondered what you had on your hat because I thought there was like a sticky thing that GoPro makes, or they have obviously the big like adjustable head mount that goes around. Have you ever worn that before? Do you know if that's
I
okay?
have one, and yeah, it works. It's Yeah, I mean, if I compare it to what I have now, like that mount is going to be pretty much the same. I just did the hat thing just so I didn't have to always put the head strap on, but
Hmm.
um, I think I actually, yeah, I did use the few back in like 2019. I actually used the head strap mount that I remember, and I had no problems with it, so that works.
Sweet. I feel like I got one laying around from like a Hero 4 back in the day, but that one shit the bed like the first year using it. I used it way back when it came out. Then we started using it musky fishing and it lasted like half a summer and it was just dead, gone. But what GoPros do you run now? What year or model?
I've got 10 blacks right now. I got like a really good deal on eBay on factory refurbished, and it came with the two batteries, the battery charger, and an SD card. And it was like $300, I think. So I have two of those, and
Dang.
then I have well, I guess one and a half because one of them's got a cracked screen still. But and then I've got another Hero 4, but the Hero 4, like yours, just does not work the way it should anymore. So I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna pick up another replacement. But I haven't had any problems with the tens all year. Um, I used to have a 7, and that was the worst GoPro I ever owned. It just had so many
Hmm.
like file corruption issues. But the tens have been really good. I think they just came out with like the 12 now too. But if I got another one, I'd probably get another 10 just because I haven't had any issues with either of mine yet.
That's good to know. I think I'm gonna switch over to tens because I've had some pretty major corruption issues like you're talking about, and I have sevens. So that makes sense.
It always
And
seems like it's our biggest fish. All of a sudden, like, oh, well, there's half the catch, and the other
yeah,
half's corrupt.
I go
Mhm.
to hit the loop button and I'm like, oh God, it's taking 1 second longer than normal. Oh, it's gone. It's so gone.
And it's
That
gone.
and
And
it's
it's gone.
gone.
And it's gone.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna rifle you with one more. The polarized lenses. What case do you use for the 10 and what like polarized are you able to share that or where you get that from?
Yeah, I got it right next to me. One second.
Because I'm gonna write it down.
So they're called Freewell CPL filters. They only make them for the 9s and ups, I think. But the
Oh, I
reason why
see.
I got these ones over other polarizers is you can rotate the lens in the front. So
Yeah.
like when you look at the GoPro screen, it'll move where it cuts the glare, depending on like which way you're looking or whatever. So
Mhm.
I always check before I start recording, and I make sure the glare's cut right in front of where I'm looking, and it works pretty good because I used to have the ones where you just put them over the lens, and I
Yep.
mean, that helps quite a bit. But these are just so much better because you can really choose where you want it to cut the glare. So like if I have the camera up top or anywhere else, like I can make sure that it's cutting the glare where I think a fish would show up. And it's nice because they're only like, I think these are like 20 bucks. So they're not super expensive. Um,
Dang. That's
but
not
yeah,
bad at all.
they come with like a nice little case for them too.
Nice. Gus, you gonna do some shopping tonight for our Muskie Bender boys trip next weekend? Or
I'm
this
gonna
Ooh.
weekend?
I'm gonna check to see if they got any refurbished or factory whatever on Amazon like right now if the internet
How do you,
works.
how do you film in the rain, Ben? We got a lot of rain in the forecast for this weekend.
Um, Nothing really changes for me. I just keep my main camera dry, and I just try to keep the GoPros tilted down. And the only flaw I guess going into flaws with the polarized lenses is they do get water spots on them very easy. So I always just try to check on those. But I haven't really had to film in the rain a whole lot this year. So, um,
Hmm.
but I mean, all the new GoPros are waterproof without a case anyway. So I have on the one that I don't wear in my head, I just bought a door for it that just has a little slot for the cable. And
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
it's a small enough slot to where like when you put the cable in, it pretty much keeps water out, so I don't have to worry about getting water on it. But this one, I kind of got to worry about getting water on the back. I just have tape on it.
There you go.
That looks shattered.
It's on its ninth
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, it's nice that the GoPros are waterproof. And then this year when I've been like externally keeping them charged with like an external battery and the ports, I just wrap that like silicone putty around it or something and like jam it in
Yep.
there. That works really well actually. As a side note, that's it for me, I think, on asking about filming. Those are all great things that I'm
I'm hoping
definitely
you can
gonna
get some of those, dude. I mean, it would be pretty sick to have some new camera setups for this week. And we're having like 7 dudes come up to our cabin and we're doing 2 boats, and I think kind of with the goal in mind of hitting big water and seeing what
Hmm.
happens. So should be fun.
Sounds
Brian,
fun.
Brian, you got anything else before we?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else in the filming. I mean, it was cool to listen to all that. So
Yeah,
information overload on the filming aspect. I'd love to film a video at some point.
this weekend we're gonna do it.
Yeah, okay. 20th
let's just
take.
get the footy. Get the footy. We can always
Yeah.
just
Well,
put
like
it
I was
on
gonna
the
say
external
earlier,
drive.
like we tried to film the opener, didn't catch a fish, and then
Oh,
when
whoa,
we don't try to
whoa.
film,
Caught a fish.
well, okay, we caught a fish.
Yeah.
But when we don't try to film, then we go off, and then we're like, crap, we don't have any footage.
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, well, you guys want to wrap this up, and then Ben, like, dude, thanks a lot for coming on. We'll it'd be awesome to have you back on. If you and Gus ever do get out on the boat together and do some filming or whatever and kind of debrief after that, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm game for that. That sounds awesome.
All right, so we'll put a bow on this. Ben, we can't thank you enough for coming on, man. That was not only entertaining, but it got very educational too, which I'm sure a lot of people will be interested to hear because, you see it a lot more these days, people running GoPros in their boats. And, I think more people probably fall into our bucket of doing a lot of filming and then that just ends up on their laptop. So hopefully maybe this inspires some people to, Gus, to, get some of that. Just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I just kidding.
I need to
Hopefully
learn
it
how
gets
to
some
edit.
people. Yeah, hopefully it gets some people, maybe a little more enthusiastic or motivated to get some stuff out on the internet because I don't know, more muskie content, the better. Just as a final note, do you, for all the people that aren't familiar, I'm sure most people that listen to this are, but do you want to just kind of give your, where to find you, socials, YouTube page, all that good stuff?
Yeah, all my usernames are Benstone Fishing. I use primarily YouTube and Instagram. I am on TikTok, but I don't really keep up with that a whole lot. But it's all under Benstone Fishing, and then Devoted Outdoors is all under Devoted Outdoors as well. So between those two, that's kind of where you can find me on the internet.
Cool. Well, like I said, we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us. I really enjoyed that, so appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks for the knowledge bombs on filming, Ben. It's cool to hear about.
Yes, appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, Ben. Well, we can't thank you enough for coming on. Some great info on filming, videography, and the editing game, which we are all fairly in the rookie class and doing. Hopefully, we get a little bit better after some of your knowledge bombs. But yeah, awesome interview with him. Going forward now, we've got the Muskie Bender coming up, as we mentioned earlier in the pod. We will have 6 or 7 of us this weekend, giving it hell, 2 different boats. We're going to be swinging for the fences here in some maybe less than ideal weather. So hopefully we can take some of Ben's tips and get a couple cool clips, I think should be the goal.
There you go.
Maybe mash together a little short film for everybody.
Yeah.
We'll
I
let
think
Ben be
that's
the judge
doable.
if it's up to his standard.
I
Yeah.
think it's doable. Yeah, make it like an Instagram short, like actual, I don't know.
Maybe we'll get some
Yeah,
B-roll
we
in there
could
for
do
everybody.
something. Yeah, actual
Hey, that's
B-roll.
on the B-roll god himself, Brian Echo.
I
You
got
better
you.
be on your game. Hands are gonna be cold this weekend.
Should we
I
get
don't wanna
another
hear
car intro on the drive up with the guys?
Yeah, that last one went super well.
Yeah.
You guys started laughing immediately as soon as he said one word. Just
Well,
couldn't
because
get
I
that.
said, welcome back, everybody. And it's like, Jack's like, it's your first video.
Dude, act natural.
Maybe this winter we'll file through like a bunch of our botched B-roll / talking clips and create a nice little parody skit for everybody in the
That would be
dead of
funny.
February.
Yeah,
That would be
something to stay
awesome.
preoccupied. So do you, Gus, do you want to set the scene at all on what's going down this weekend? Kind of what we're gonna do and what maybe people that are also gonna be dumb enough to go out there and fish this weekend are gonna be in store for, and kind of what to look for and what we're gonna be, I guess, looking for, that is.
Sure. I'll set the full on stage. So back in July, we did a muskie bender with 5 of us and 2 boats. So we're upping the people, keeping the amount of boats, but our good friend Mitch did upgrade his boat so that each are going to be very comfortable given the weather. So shout out Mitch. Dog.
It's gonna be very comfortable.
Yeah.
We're gonna be 4 wide in one boat, so that's always fun. But as cold as it's gonna be, ain't no way all 4 of us are even gonna want to cast at the same time. So I think we'll be
I'm bringing a little buddy heater and
Yeah.
watching you guys do work. I mean, with you, me, and Jack on the same boat, I mean, that's 3 pretty big yuns out.
Yeah, we'll be
Trying to
taking on a little bit of water.
Trying to hook rubber and also
Kinda.
run 2 suckers at the same time. Gus is going to really be enjoying that,
I'm
I'm
the
sure.
only shorty. I think everyone that's coming is over 6 foot. I'm pretty sure.
The front of the boat will just be plowing in the water, and the hinge will be out the back.
Yeah, that's
We're gonna
true.
be-
Parker's 6, whatever. How tall is Parker? He's a lanky
6
dude.
a lot. Sam's 6 foot something. You got
We'll call
you two
Parker
guys.
6'11" behind the camera.
We'll put him at
Parker.
6'11". Yep. Give him the
Right.
NFL stats. Yeah.
Yeah, roster.
So with that, we have the weekend of our Muskie Bender 2.0. we're going to talk a whole lot about that on the next podcast, how it goes. But for the bite and how it's going, fish are eating live bait, but reluctantly. Max is up this past weekend and he got to see firsthand when running live scope. It has been quite frustrating with this cold snap that I've very much assumed would really set them off. And I don't know if it was a lake choice that we had, but really we capitalized on only the 2 sucker opportunities that we got. We got 2 sucker eats, landed them both, and then it was just casting from there. And with that, we got a decent bit of follows. Max touched on, unfortunately, the 2 that he lost. And I was able to land one on a tube just this past Sunday. And man, it's just been tough getting them to eat the suckers. And I don't know if it's going to be this consistent cold that we're getting now is finally going to do it. I don't know if the water temps they might have been just a touch too warm still, but the temps going into the weekend, we saw mid 60s, and it is now October 9th, and we got mid 50s. So it has been
fell off a cliff.
4 days ish, and it's dropped 10 degrees. That's just surface temps, but it's been extremely windy, so that water is mixing pretty good. As of today, I have not still been on a body of water yet that has turned over. It's not there yet, but when this podcast comes out in the weekend, I think you're going to experience some turnover on smaller lakes that are deep enough that stratify. So be aware of that. You're probably going to be good to go for some pre-turnover for sure for the largest lakes in the area. And I'd say a good bit of your medium-sized-ish lakes. So be prepared for definitely low to mid 50s for water temps probably going into the weekend, because it doesn't look like it's getting much warmer to really pick those temps back up. I highly advise soaking some meat, potentially getting out some, oh man, well, Brian, you're going to cringe, but crankbaits for trolling. It's that time of year. If you don't feel like,
Son of a.
yeah, Brian, keep rolling your eyes. We'll get you 1 year. I'll get you 1 year. I'm going to spend a lot of time trolling this fall because I am sick and tired of buying them freaking suckers at
I mean,
$12 to
with the temps this
$15 a pop.
weekend, I'm definitely not going to be fighting in the whole trolling thing.
I don't know if we're really going to this weekend. I think if anything, we're going to soak suckers the whole time. And I think with the amount of people and bodies we got in the boat, we're always going to have at least 1 or 2 casting, like somebody who's like wants to cast and has their hands all warmed up. So that I don't think there was a problem with, but just you wait until you join me in the boat in November when you can't freaking move your hands or take off any of your 3 layers of gloves. That's when you're going to want to troll. And it's going to be.
Yeah, Brian will be up there. Brian will be up there for sure.
Yeah.
I just hate trolling the summer when I can pitch docks. So
That's
the time I'm arguing that.
About 50% of the docks are kind of out right now anyways. Like all the boat
that's
launches,
a problem.
boat lifts are gone. That's tough. I mean, if you're working with
where do the muskies
structure
cover? Where do the muskies go? Where do they go? Yeah. They leave the lake. There's no docks there.
I think they kind of just push up,
pack their bags,
probably
head south. Well, you want to touch on that because we found fish in a whole smorgasbord of spots this weekend.
Yeah, a lot has kind of been in rocks. I'd say rocks was like a big proponent of where we got a lot of fish. Some rock to weed transitions, some extended bulrush points off of sand. Yeah, I just realized we have found fish everywhere again, but they're still relating to that deep, steep stuff closest to the deep water. Granted, we didn't really spend a ton of time in shallow, weedy bays, but we did, and we didn't really see much. And I think it's just going to continue with that. where the fish are finally kind of making some pushes to deeper water in general. Not every single fish is going to do the same thing. I'm probably picking off some of the early to the party visitors on some of the deep water, but that's going to be what's coming up next. Soak some suckers, toss some rubber, definitely get some crankbaits out and jerk baits. Suic is definitely going to be a staple in my boat for any of the shallower lakes. Deeper diving crankbaits and rubber for sure for the deeper and clearer lakes. And yeah, I think that's kind of it for what people should expect going into the weekend. I'll try and do this real quick, but with the merch, I am happy to announce that on today, it'll be fully announcing that it is available. They're in stock. You can head to www.sugsfishing.com.
Brian, no clapping.
Let's go.
All right, I bring it. There it is. There
There
it
we
is.
go.
Feel
Nice
free
guys,
to treat
nice guys.
yourself, people. You deserve it. Go ahead and plug that credit card in there. Let's get those things out.
So I'm going to do my absolute best to get them out as soon as I can when the orders are in. You are looking at who fulfills the orders. So if I'm out fishing, it'll be hard to fulfill an order. So I will do
Nice.
my absolute best and we'll kind of just see how it goes. And if it starts, if it starts to just
This isn't too reassuring for people. It sounds like you might get the sweatshirt, you might not. I don't know.
No, it's
If you're
not
looking to
that.
give some Christmas gifts, get them now.
Yeah.
No, it's all. I'm gonna get them out as fast as I can. That's the encouragement there. But
For sure.
I'm just trying to look forward into the future on see how it goes from merch drop and kind of
Right.
look to potentially order some more for people.
I'm excited.
And, yeah, I'm excited too. It's all gonna be good, and sweatshirts are gonna be out to people soon. And of course, you got the pint glasses and some stickers as well. So
Yeah,
that's a merch
they're
update.
sweet. They're sweet. I finally got to lay eyes on them. I'm actually wearing one right now. They're awesome. They're good. So I'm happy with how they turned out. I hope other people like them too. I got the stamp of approval from some family members, that got to see them this weekend as well. So should be good. I'm excited to see some people repping the Muskies on Tap merch. Once you guys get them, send those pictures in. If you guys fishing in them, we'll definitely be reposting them on the Instagram, all that good stuff. So excited, man. Just looking forward to it. I think moving on here, the burning question in most people's brains for this upcoming weekend, Brian, is what are the Vegas odds on total fish caught in the muskie bender between both boats, and of course the patented largest fish line of the weekend? What are we looking at here?
Well, the line's been moving a lot with this groundbreaking weather coming in. But it's looking like whole weekend, 7 guys. They got the line set at 5.5 fish.
Yeah, that is
pretty
good.
Yeah, it's pretty good up there. Yeah, it's one of those where it's a new moon and these fish are bound to start just inhaling suckers. I do like our timing. Not so much the weather, but hey, that weather might help us, might fire them up. In terms of their biggest fish, looking at 48.5.
Whoa.
Gee,
You remember where we're at, right?
Yeah,
Come on.
Hey, they saw last muskie bender was just shy of that number, so they're upping it now. It's fall, the big fish are on the move.
I actually like that. I almost feel like it's one of those where, you're going to probably see a lot of money coming in on the under. And as we know, Vegas always knows. So
Vegas knows.
It's tough
Vegas
to
wins.
think.
Hammer the over. We'll revisit this in a week.
We've yet to go 2 for 2, right? I think we've never cashed both on the over, right?
Yeah.
It's either been one or the other.
parlay.
Yeah. So I think we've always gone 1 for 1. So that means either we're going to catch more than 5.5 fish or we're going to catch less than 5.5 fish, but one of them is going to be a giant.
Yeah, I'm fine with either.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Either one works for me. Team sport this weekend. So should be a good
Yeah.
time. You guys got anything else to add tonight?
The tournament results for the 2 tourneys that were on in the area.
Oh,
Quick
yeah.
go through them. So this past weekend they had some tournaments going on. They had the Phelps 2023 Midwest Muskie Classic. I know that one you're allowed to use live bait in, and there was some very large fish caught, as always, pretty much, because those are on the big Phelps lakes. And the first place was a 46.5, I believe was a tiger, which is pretty awesome. 45 3/4 took second, and
Jeez.
another 45 3/4 took third. So it looks like I went to the person who caught it first to take second. Yeah, those are some big fish for northern Wisconsin, and congrats to the winners of. So the biggest was Brian Fons. Congrats to him. Second place is Don Van Grol, and third was Sam Hunsel. Yes, I think.
Shout
Hopefully.
out.
Shout out. The other tournament that was going on was in the St. Germain area, and they had the Greater Wisconsin Muskie, oh man, tournament. Is that what it is? I know it's hopefully I didn't botch that. It's the GWMT. And they had a somewhat tough showing for the most part. The biggest was a 46 for Zach Zorn. Congrats to him. But there wasn't a ton of fish caught, and I know there's a lot of people out there. That one does not allow live bait, but there was a few very famous and big lakes over there that only produced 1 or 2 fish, which is pretty remarkable in my eyes. It seemed to be somewhat spread across the board on what lakes they caught the fish, but that is that. And congrats again to Zach. So there's a little update in the tournament world, and a quick shout out for any of the people that are coming up this late October. I know R&M Muskie Shop and Tackle in the town of Eagle River is putting on their fall brawl again, and I believe it's Saturday, October 21st. It's a 1-day tournament on the Eagle River and Three Lakes chains. So if you're up and looking to fish, I know they allow, off the top of my head, I know they allow sucker fishing and they allow trolling, and I want to say they allow 1 live scope unit. So
Oh yeah,
don't
there's
quote
gonna be
me.
some big fish caught.
Yeah, don't quote me exactly. I know last year there was some big fish caught on the chain. I think the biggest, I want to say it was like 47.5 or something. So
Nice.
there might be some large fish caught there because the chains are producing. So that's it in the tournament world.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you boys this weekend. Be up there late Thursday night. And should be a good time. Brian, you excited?
I am. Cannot wait. Got to
You haven't been on the boat in a while. You remember how to fish?
It's been a minute. I know. It's been a minute. I'm gonna have to practice some hook sets on something. But yeah, I gotta dig out my warm gear out of the boxes tonight and get it all
Yeah.
prepared. Sadly,
We'll be all right.
Yep.
We'll be all right.
we'll figure it out. We grind.
Part of the game, man. It's all fun.
Yeah.
All part of the fun.
Oh yeah.
You want to give us a little send off here after Gus gives out his Gus, you give out your stuff yet? I wasn't paying
Nope.
attention.
Not yet. That's all good, man. You can find us on Muskies on Tap for Instagram, and also at Suggs Fishing for my personal. You can also find Suggs Fishing Guide Service on Facebook and add me as a friend to my personal profile. You can find the merch and all of my guiding info on www.sugsfishing.com. And I still have some availability this October and November. If you're looking to get out and brave the elements and join me in the boat, I'd love to have you out. And I'd be willing to do anything, go after giants, go after numbers, cast, troll, jig, suckers, the whole shebang. I'm going to be doing it all this fall, so hope to join some of you guys in the boat. So with that being said, Brian, let's have you send it away and cap off this podcast.
All right, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning into this episode. Can't thank Ben enough for coming on tonight. Incredible interview, a lot of insights into the videography game. We're going to be looking to get into that this weekend. Hopefully, we're blessed with some good fish and some manageable weather. We got four other fellas coming up this weekend. We're going to be doing one hell of a musky bender. A lot of cold, numb feet, numb hands, sore arms, but nothing takes care of that better than a tall blonde at the end of the night or an Oktoberfest, whatever you're feeling. Everybody take care this weekend and good luck on the water.